My dear brothers and sisters, we are come to the end of this month of May, which is dedicated to the Blessed Virgin Mary. On the 31st of May, we celebrate the feast of the Visitation of Blessed Virgin Mary. Mary, being pregnant with Jesus, went with haste into the hill country to a town in Judah to visit and serve her cousin Elizabeth. Yes, in doing so, she undeniably walked the path of synodality. She recognized that Jesus was a gift to be shared and not to be kept only for herself. When Elizabeth heard Mary's greeting, the little child in her womb, John, recognized the presence of Jesus and leaped with joy. The Church all over the world is preparing for the universal phase of synodality, which will commence with the October 2023 16th Ordinary General Assembly of the Synod of Bishops taking place at the Vatican and will continue until October 2024. Mary, the Mother of Jesus, accompanies the Church in her journey towards synodality. The recent working document released for the continental stage brings together the preparatory and participatory work of God's people all over the world. The theme for the continental phase of Synod was Enlarge the Space of Your Tent, a text taken from the book of Isaiah, chapter 54, verse 2. Through prophet Isaiah, God sends a message of hope and blessing to His people who were in the exile in Babylon for a long time and prepares them for restoration and blessing by leading them back to the city of Jerusalem. The working document for the continental stage reflects on these words of prophet Isaiah. Enlarge the space of your tent. Spread out your tent cloths unsparingly. Lengthen your ropes and make firm your pegs, for you will spread out to the right and to the left, and your descendants will possess the nations. The Bible text from Isaiah gives us three aspects of a tent. The first is the tent cloth, which protects those within its space from the sun, wind, and the rain. The tent cloth has to grow in order to include and protect those who are still outside this space, but who feel called to enter it. The ropes that hold the cloth together are the second structural element of the tent. They must balance the tension needed to keep the tent from drooping with the softness that cushions movement caused by the wind. That is why, if the tent expands, the ropes must be stretched to maintain the right tension. Finally, the pegs are the third element. They anchor the structure to the ground and ensure its solidity, but remain capable of moving when the tent must be pitched elsewhere. Isaiah was referring to the process of adding on to their tents. They rarely built new tents, but would simply repair the old tents, one section at a time. To expand the tent, they would add another section to it through continued patching of this kind. Having listened to these words of Isaiah, we can imagine the Church similarly as a tent. The synodal journey helps us to envision the Church as an expansive and discerning Church, capable of sheltering all and moving towards embracing the Father and all of humanity, yet keeping the fundamentals of faith steady just as the pegs of the tent. Jesus was a synodal leader, journeying with the people, building relationships, and teaching His disciples to do likewise. His own mother and our mother Mary, who was His faithful disciple, is an example for us to follow as she expanded her tent, thinking about others before her own self. As a synodal person, she journeys with others, reaches out, observes, listens, and responds. She went in haste to see and aid her cousin Elizabeth, who was in need, and served her for 3 months till the birth of her son. At the wedding, when the couple runs out of wine, Mary is the first one to notice. After seeing a need, she took it upon herself to help this couple avoid any kind of embarrassment on their wedding day. And she turns to the one person she knows can help, Jesus. In this 3rd millennium, we too are called to embrace the path of synodality and following the example of our mother and make space for others in our tent. Our church, our tent, needs to grow and expand by welcoming others into it and making room for diversity. We are fortunate enough that the Almighty has given us the gift of Catholic faith right from the cradle. We have good health, all comforts in our life, and blessings in abundance. But we are called to share the gospel with the others and invite them to come unto Christ, the kingdom of God, which expands throughout the world. Realizing that we all share a common dignity and vocation through our baptism, we are called to listen to those who feel neglected and excluded, to reach out to the ones who are less fortunate, who are into poverty and distress, to walk together with all Christians, to embrace the young people, refugees, migrants, and persons with disabilities. There is a need to change our mindset regarding certain contentious matters and our behavior towards certain groups of people. Jesus refused to discriminate and even went to the extent of breaking traditions to include everyone in his web of love. Persons belonging to gender and sexual minorities, those in live-in relationships, those who have isolated themselves from the Catholic Church, and those who work against the Church and her mission need to be loved as Jesus would. All of us are called by Jesus to serve one another. Hence, let us follow the example of Jesus and his mother and make efforts to spread the gospel and love to those who are beyond the space of our tent. Let us welcome and embrace them into the tent of Jesus.